Welcome to Reddit Echoes, where the most seemingly normal stories will leave you gasping, bitter laughing, or just straight up yelling, "I can't believe people like this exist." In today's video, we're diving into true stories from Reddit where love, family, money, and even basic human kindness all get thrown onto the drama scale by people with a supernatural gift for chaos. Ever thought your partner was great until they asked to split your lottery winnings with their ex's kid? Ever had a tenant suggest you move out of your own apartment because you're a man, or maybe you've been labeled emotionally unstable just for refusing to marry your daughter off to a self-proclaimed noble family? Yeah? This video is for you. Put your headphones on, sit back, because you're about to hear some true Reddit stories that'll make your blood boil, your jaw drop, and occasionally remind you how lucky you are not to be the main character. Story 1. I was stalked by a woman at the gym and no one believed me. Until... I'm not the type of guy who causes drama. I go to the gym to focus on myself, not to get dragged into some psychological horror movie. But that's exactly what happened. It all started about 6 months ago. I was on the treadmill when I noticed the built-in TV wasn't working. A woman, let's call her Andrea, walked by, and I asked politely, "Hey, is this TV broken?" Not sure if it's the machine or the system. She smiled, said hers wasn't working either the day before, and walked away. Harmless interaction. Or so I thought. I was wrong. The next week, she asked if she could borrow some electrolyte powder. I didn't have any, but we chatted. She said she'd just moved here, works private security. Seemed normal enough, until I realized that every single time I was at the gym, she was there. Same time, same areas. About 6 weeks in, Andrea asked me to hang out. I declined, politely, clearly. Told her I wasn't looking for anything right now. She smiled and said, "That's fine. Don't let it mess up your workout." I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. She kept approaching me. Every time I went to the gym, there she was. At first I stayed polite, but I started getting uneasy, like I was being watched. I began shifting my gym times, switching areas, but somehow she always showed up. One day while I was doing leg presses, the kind where there's only one way out, Andrea stood right in front of the exit and asked, "Are you avoiding me?" I sighed. "Yeah. Sorry. But you're making me uncomfortable." She nodded. "You don't need to avoid someone just because you don't want to date them." I said, "It's not about dating. You're making me feel unsafe." Still, she didn't stop. One night after a rough day, she came up to me again during my workout. I snapped a little and said, "Andrea, can you please leave me alone? You're embarrassing yourself." She smiled, that kind of smile that freezes your spine, and casually placed her foot on the weights I was using. I thought she was about to press down. I let go out of instinct. The weights slammed down with a loud crash. Everyone looked over. Andrea just raised an eyebrow and said, "Who's embarrassed now?" I thought that was it. But no. She escalated. Next morning, I reported everything to the front desk. They said they'd handle it. That evening, she showed up again. She apologized. And like an idiot, I apologized too for embarrassing her. I thought we were done. Then she said, "If you really want to make it up to me, maybe we could go grab a drink. My treat too." I said, "We should probably just stay separate." She smiled again, misunderstood completely. "So when and where?" I shut it down. "I don't want to go anywhere with you. I don't even want to be friends." That's when she flipped the switch straight into victim mode. "You're avoiding me because I'm Hispanic, huh?" I was floored. I didn't even know she was Hispanic until that moment. "No, I'm avoiding you because you scare me. Period." She demanded I explain exactly how she scared me. Every time I did, she'd twist my words, deflect, or blame me instead. I finally snapped, "Stay away from me." She stormed off, muttering that I was just a boy in a man's body. But it wasn't over. 4 days later, I was running on the treadmill watching TV when she yanked the safety clip. The emergency stop. I face-planted into the screen, split my chin open. I went straight to the front desk. She followed me, trying to interrupt, but the front desk worker, a literal angel, cut her off. Andrea tried to defend herself. He looked spaced out. I thought he was going to pass out. I was helping. The employee asked for her membership card. Andrea refused. The staff warned her she'd be banned if she didn't cooperate. Andrea lost it. She screamed and unleashed a barrage of racist slurs. Boom, card cut, lifetime ban. She was escorted out. I thought that was finally it. It wasn't. 4 days later, I was at a bar with friends, laughing, relaxing, and who shows up, Andrea? She suddenly tried to kiss me. I pushed her off. She stumbled, my friend caught her, and she started screaming, "What's wrong with you? Are you ashamed of me?" I said, "This is the third time you've put your hands on me. Get away from me." Security came. Andrea claimed I shoved her. I tried to explain, but my friend and I had been drinking, and we weren't exactly eloquent. We got kicked out. Now I'm working on a restraining order. Andrea crossed every line legally and morally. And the saddest part, if I were a woman and Andrea were a man, this story would be viral by now. But because I'm a guy, people act like I should feel lucky. No. I was harassed, I was stalked, and I was hurt. Story 2. I walked in on my daughter making my son cry in our own house. As a 42-year-old dad, I've seen my fair share of chaos, from kids dropping ice cream on freshly cleaned carpets to the neighbor's dog leaving mourning presents in my yard. But nothing, absolutely nothing, has ever pissed me off like the night my daughter turned our house into a miniature organized bullying camp. I live with 2 kids. Anya, my 17-year-old daughter, outgoing, energetic, and I hate to admit it, a little impulsive. And Noah, my 14-year-old stepson from my late ex-wife. He's a quiet artist, prefers birds and sketchbooks over TikToks and parties. His mom passed away years ago, and I've been raising him ever since. He's the kind of kid who'll sit in the garden sketching robins while the world burns. Sensitive, gentle, needs his space. Last week, Anya asked if she could have a sleepover with a few girlfriends. I agreed, because being a single dad sometimes means you have to be the chill parent to balance out the times you ban phones after 10 p.m. But I set 2 rules. 1. Do not go into Noah's room. 2. Quiet hours after 11 because, well, I have a job and Noah needs his sleep or he turns into a zombie. I thought everything would be fine. Yeah. Nope. Around 10 p.m., I went upstairs. Not because I was suspicious, but because I heard giggling. Loud, high-pitched, chaotic giggling like a deleted scene from Mean Girls. I opened Noah's door, and I swear to God my blood boiled like hot sauce in a BBQ pit. Noah was curled up on his bed, clutching his sketchbook like a lifeline. 2 of Anya's friends were sitting next to him, one flipping through his drawings, the other playing with his pens and desk lamp like they were live streaming on Twitch. And Anya. She stood there laughing, like Noah was just some awkward little set piece in her sleepover aesthetic. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just said, cold as ice, get out. Now. And call your parents, they're picking you up. Anya looked at me like I'd just overthrown her social empire. You're overreacting, she snapped. Noah didn't say a word, but he was crying, and that was all I needed to see. I called every parent. One of them had the audacity to say, she was just curious. Curious lady, your daughter isn't a sociologist conducting field research. She invaded my son's space. After all the girls were picked up, I sat with Noah. He didn't say much, just shook his head when I asked if he was okay. After a while, he quietly asked, why did she let them come into my room? My heart cracked in half. I knew Anya was impulsive, but I didn't think she'd completely ignore Noah's feelings like that. The next morning, I called Anya to talk. She was still mad, still thought I'd embarrassed her. So I asked, how do you think Noah felt? When your friends invaded his room, laughed at his drawings, treated him like a prop. She was silent, then finally said, I didn't think he'd actually be upset. And that right there was the problem. She didn't think. She didn't even try to imagine how someone else might feel if it didn't affect her. I didn't ground her, didn't cut her allowance. Instead, I told her to write Noah a proper apology. Not a sorry LOL kind of thing, but a real handwritten letter. And I asked her to spend the weekend helping me reorganize Noah's art corner as a way to rebuild what she broke. Noah still hasn't smiled quite the same since, but he's drawing again. And Anya, I think she learned a lesson deeper than anything a school ethics class could have taught her. So here's the takeaway. If you're a parent, remember sometimes what your kid needs isn't a bigger house. They need a place where their space is respected, where they are protected, even from people who should know better. Do you think the dad handled this right? Or should he have slammed the boundary harder? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to follow Reddit Echoes for more real stories that make you mad, make you think, and make you want to hit share faster than Anya broke Noah's heart. Story 3. I got called emotionally disconnected for not canceling a $2,500 vacation because my girlfriend hates Harry Potter. If you've ever thought differences in hobbies are fine, love is what matters, then congratulations. You're living in a universe that is not mine. I'm 26, work in tech, and have a solid group of college friends, including Lily, someone I've been close with for years. The kind of close where, yeah, maybe I had a small crush on her once, but we both decided we liked not ruining our friendship more than anything romantic. A few months ago, Lily and I planned a throwback to college youth vacation, a full week at Universal Studios and Disney World. We both pitched in around $1.200, $300 each. Tickets, hotel, itinerary, all booked and paid for. Everything was fine, until I started dating Jess. Jess is bold, smart, politically aware, and very, very woke. She knew about the trip from the start. But when I casually mentioned the Harry Potter section of Universal, she went completely silent. Then she asked, "You do know J.K. Rowling is a TERF, right?" I replied, "Yeah, you've mentioned that before. I get it. I don't agree with her views. But what does that have to do with the Hogwarts Express I've been obsessed with since I was 5? She crossed her arms and said, "I just don't think I can date someone who financially supports a franchise that promotes hate." I blinked. "Wait, you think going to Universal is me endorsing transphobia?" She said, "Not exactly. But you're choosing entertainment over the real pain of the LGBTQ+ community." I told Jess I wasn't supporting Rowling herself. I was clinging to a piece of childhood nostalgia. And more importantly, I'd already spent over $2,500. Canceling now would mean losing everything. I even offered, if it helps, I'd be more than willing to donate to an LGBTQ+ organization after I'm back. Or we can talk more once I return. But this trip has been planned for months. Nope. To Jess, this was a moral line in the sand. Either I cancel, or she's not sure she can be with someone who compromises justice. Friends told me to be more understanding. Love matters more than money. Is a fun trip really worth hurting someone? Here's the thing, I wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't dragging Jess there. I wasn't wearing a Make Hogwarts Great Again shirt. I wasn't quoting J.K. Rowling or posting Harry Potter memes. I just wanted to eat butterbeer ice cream and scream on roller coasters with an old friend. Lily was confused too. She said, "If you break up with your girlfriend over me, I'm going to feel guilty forever." I didn't cancel the trip. So Jess canceled me. She called me emotionally disconnected, a man who never stands for justice, and left a passive-aggressive Instagram caption that read, "You can really see who someone is when they choose rides over human rights." After that, mutual friends started taking sides. Some messaged me saying I was insensitive. Others said, "You tried to compromise." She didn't. Honestly, I don't know if I did the right thing, but I do know this. You shouldn't be expected to feel the right way only when someone else gives you permission to. What did I learn? Choose a partner who won't make you prove your morality by canceling joy. Someone who won't equate butterbeer with bigotry. And if you're dating someone who uses political purity tests as a relationship filter, maybe you should go on that trip alone. What do you think? Was I too cold? Was Jess too extreme? Or is this just a case of two people whose moral universes will never overlap? Story 4. She said she'd only live with women. But I'm the homeowner. I'm 29 living in Sydney, and I rent out a spare room in my apartment. The rent is fair, the neighborhood's safe, the place is clean. Basically, it's every student or young professional's dream setup. I posted the listing in a Facebook group and got dozens of DMs. One of them was from a girl named Amelia, 24, psych student, polite messages, and a profile pic of a cat in a birthday hat. She asked a lot of questions, but all reasonable ones about the kitchen quiet hours, if guests could stay over, etc. I was impressed by how thorough she was, so I invited her to come check out the place. In person, she was friendly, well-spoken, and extremely comfortable, maybe a little too confident. At one point, she looked around and said, "This place is really nice. I think I'd be okay living here, as long as there are no men." I laughed politely, thinking she was joking. "You mean like your boyfriend can't sleep over?" She shook her head, totally calm, like she was talking about the weather. "No. I mean, I can't live with any man. I have trauma from men. I only live with women." I froze for a second. You may not have noticed in the post, but I'm the homeowner. And clearly, a man. She looked at me like I'd just confessed to being a lizard in a human costume. Really, I thought the ad was from Sam. I figured that was short for Samantha. I smiled, trying to stay polite. "Nope. I'm Sam, as in Samuel, and this is my place." 2 seconds of awkward silence. Then she asked, "So, could you not live here?" I laughed. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Her face was serious. Harvard interview level serious. "I only need a place for 6 months. I'll pay rent on time. But I'd only feel safe if you weren't around much." I tried to stay civil, but internally my brain was on fire. "So, you want to rent a room in my apartment, and your condition is that I leave so you can feel safe?" She nodded. "Exactly." I asked, "Do you think I'm a threat?" She said, "No. I'm not saying you're a bad person. But you're a man. That's a boundary." This was the moment I had a choice. Either gently ask her to leave, or film a TikTok titled, "When your tenant tells you to move out of your own home because you're a man." I went with option A. I understand, but I live here. I'm not moving out. If you're looking for a women-only space, I suggest looking for female-only house shares. She left with the same disappointed look someone gives you when you say they can't borrow your kidney. But it didn't end there. A week later, I got a long email from her. No apology, no thanks. Just a psychological breakdown of why I'm the kind of man who doesn't understand safe spaces. She literally wrote, "The fact that you chose to remain in your own home instead of creating an opportunity for a traumatized woman shows how deeply selfish and individualistic you are. So apparently, living in my own home, selfish now, I didn't respond. But I did share the story with some friends. And as expected, everyone split into 2 camps. Camp A, WTF. She's insane. Who tries to evict the landlord? Camp B. Well, she has trauma. Maybe you could have been more understanding. Let me be clear, I do understand trauma. I don't hate anyone for having psychological boundaries. But no one gets to demand other people leave their own home because of their gender. What did I learn? You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to have standards. But when you walk into someone else's space, you don't get to enforce your rules on their home. Amelia, I genuinely hope you find a living situation that makes you feel safe, but I'm going to keep living in my apartment. And no, I will not move out. Just because I'm a man. What do you think? Was I too cold? Or is Amelia living in an alternate universe where victim always means automatically right? Story 5. I won the lottery, and he wanted to give half to his ex's kid. This story started like a miracle, and then it crashed and burned like a car with no brakes straight into the wall of trust. I'm a 35-year-old woman with a 4-year-old son. He's my whole world. I was engaged to Ryan, 37, mature, kind, and absolutely wonderful with my kid. We'd been together for 2 years, and honestly, I thought I'd found my forever person. One morning, I scratched off a lottery ticket I bought at the gas station, and my life changed color. No joke, I won over $400,000. Not millionaire status, sure, but enough to breathe easier for a few years. No more instant noodles or dodging calls from the bank. I sat down with Ryan and had a very serious talk. I told him, I'm not gonna blow this. Some of it will go toward a new home, some into investments, and I'll set aside a chunk for my son's future. The rest I'll save for emergencies or surprises. Ryan nodded and smiled like the freaking sun. But then, 48 hours later, he looked distant, drinking more beer than usual. I asked, is everything okay? That's when he dropped the bomb. I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to set up a fund for Max? I blinked. Max? You mean my son Ryan? Shook his head. No. Max, Emily's son. Emily, his ex-girlfriend. They broke up 5 years ago. Never married, but lived together for 3 years. Max isn't Ryan's biological child. DNA test confirmed that when Emily asked for child support after the breakup. So no biology, no legal ties, no financial obligation. I gave a confused laugh. Why? Ryan shrugged. I was around when Max was little. I still care. And you know he's had a hard time. Emily's not doing well financially. Just a small fund, maybe a few grand. It could really help his future. I thought I misheard. I repeated, you want me to use my lottery winnings to support your ex's kid? And he replied like I was the heartless one. Yes, but not for Emily. For Max, he's just a child. I sat there stunned. Not because he asked, but because he acted like it was the obvious thing to do. I told him, if Max really matters that much, you can open a fund for him. But I won't. This money came from my win. And you know I used to work 2 jobs just to support my kid and pay off debt. He went silent, the kind of silence where you know the argument's not over. Sure enough, 2 days later, I found out he'd been talking to my sister, telling her I'd changed since the money, that I wasn't the kind, generous woman he fell in love with. At that point, I wasn't even angry. I was just disappointed. I sat Ryan down and said, we need to pause the wedding. Not because you care about a child, but because you're prioritizing your ex's kid over my son and over us. He yelled, I just want to do the right thing. And I said, not when doing the right thing means using someone else's money to play hero for a past that's no longer yours. We broke up. I've locked my bank cards, changed every password. And no, I haven't started any fund for Max. What did I learn? Money doesn't change people. It just reveals who was never really prioritizing you to begin with, who was quietly waiting for their slice of what you'd earn. I don't regret losing Ryan. I regret believing he was the kind of man who'd never put a ghost from his past above the future we were building. What do you think? Was I selfish? Was Ryan just too kind at the wrong time? Or was this just a case of someone trying to be the hero in a story no one asked him to join? Story 6. I got called mentally unstable for refusing to let my daughter marry into a self-proclaimed noble family. I'm a 42-year-old single mom. I have a daughter, Hannah, 21, smart, independent, and finishing her final year in graphic design. I've raised her with one simple principle: love whoever you want, just don't lose yourself in the process. And then on a sunny weekend afternoon, she brought her boyfriend home. Now, I'm not the nosy, overprotective type, but the moment I met Ethan, something felt off. Not the cologne kind of off. More like the I secretly think I'm better than everyone else kind of off. Ethan showed up in a white dress shirt, shiny leather shoes, and I kid you not, called me madam when stepping into my home. In America. In 2025. In a 2-bedroom apartment near a Walmart parking lot. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Throughout dinner, he kept calling me madam and told stories about his family line, how they've been in the wine business for generations, and how they own 3 vacation homes in Italy. So I asked, "What do your parents do?" With a smug smile, he said, "They're long-term investors, madam. They don't need to work." Ah, so unemployed but good at branding. After the visit, Hannah said, "Mom, I know Ethan seems different, but he really loves me, and I'm happy." I nodded. I didn't interfere. I didn't forbid anything. But I did start paying attention. Then one night, Hannah came home visibly tense. I asked what was wrong. She sighed and said, "Mom, Ethan's family wants to meet you. They're very serious about our future. They want to talk about an engagement." I sat up straight. Engagement. You're 21. I know. But they're traditional. They said they want everything clear before they make any emotional investment. That phrase, emotional investment, made me want to scream, but I stayed calm and agreed to go to the meeting. It was at a French restaurant, the kind where water costs $12 and the baguette could chip your teeth. Ethan's parents sat across from me, looking like I'd just been dragged off a reality show about working-class America. 15 minutes into awkward small talk, Ethan's mom dropped the hammer. "We'd like to know more about your background. Any Ivy League alumni in the family? Fixed assets, retirement savings?" I took a sip of water, swallowed my rage like an ice cube. "I've got a moldy mortgage and a cross-eyed cat." She gave a polite chuckle, thinking I was joking. But then she said the thing that made my blood boil. "We just want to make sure Hannah isn't interested in Ethan for status or finances. He's very vulnerable to being taken advantage of." I looked at my daughter. She was staring down, ashamed. And that's when I realized she was caught between love and humiliation. I sat up and said, "If you think my daughter, who pays her own tuition, has scholarships, and has never asked Ethan for money, is some gold digger, then maybe this engagement doesn't need to happen." Ethan's dad jumped in. "You seem very sensitive." I replied, "No. I'm just not insane enough to hand my daughter over to a family treating her like a loan application." We left in silence. Hannah didn't speak the entire ride home. That night she came into my room crying. She said, "Mom, I know he loves me, but I don't want to marry a walking bank account either." We hugged. And a few days later, Hannah broke up with Ethan. What did I learn? Money can buy Italian wine and vacation homes, but it can't buy basic decency or respect for other human beings. And if someone starts asking about your net worth before they ask about your child's dreams, you're not talking to a person. You're negotiating with a price tag. What do you think? Was I too harsh? Or was I just doing what any mother should, protecting her daughter from a compound interest relationship? Drop a comment below. And don't forget to follow Reddit Echoes, where real-life stories come packed with drama, truth, and the kind of chaos you just have to share with the group chat. What do you think about today's stories? Who was in the right, and who deserves to be permanently blocked from existence? Drop a comment below. I need to know what you would have done in those situations. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss another video where the drama is endless, and there's always someone out there having a worse day than you. This is Reddit Echoes, where the stories are so real, you'll wish they were just fiction.